That was a piece from MSNBC. Now we go to Larry Sparano. Hey there, how are you?
Good morning, Kent.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I agree that they should not be unmarked, unidentifiable stormtrooper in appearance, like which is what they're complaining about. I go along with that. They should be clearly marked who they are, and
Right.
if the reports are accurate, and I don't know if they are, that they're patrolling the streets, jumping out, abducting people. If those are the tactics being used, it shouldn't be used. But who knows whether those are accurate reports, or
Well,
did they go, or were they going after protesters who were approaching the federal buildings and all that, and then they ran them down on the streets? I don't know what's going on there. But
well,
anyway, put
on
aside the
TV.
fact that. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ken.
No, no, I'm saying we've seen the images on television that they've
Yeah.
done that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, but again, we don't know what preceded that. Why were they grabbing these people? Was it at random, or were they trying to attack the federal courthouse here, which they've had a board up, which has been assaulted? They try to enter it a number of times. We don't know what's going on there. And as far as the mayor, Ted Wheeler, Portland mayor, saying we don't want these troops there, they're unnecessary, we could handle it. Well, it's been going on for 2 months now, and he hasn't handled it. Something has to
Yeah,
be done.
but he said that the violence had been going down, and when these federal agents came in, it just increased things.
That,
And
that's
plus, I
that's
think. Go ahead. Yeah.
that's what he's claiming. But I've seen video where the violence, it's just spreading more and more. They've had widespread looting, destruction of businesses, and all that, and they're becoming more and more emboldened because they know that the cops aren't out there. If they come out, they're not going to do anything. This is going on in all these cities. So here's the mayor. He's refused to handle it for 2 months now in his own city. So Trump brings in these troops, and again, they should be identified, and I don't know what their tactics are, but that's a response to him and other big city mayors doing nothing. Now, what's to be done? Just let the rioters, take over the streets, and eventually they're going to get tired. I mean, that's a bad precedent, because anytime somebody wants to come out and protest, they know that there's no consequences, there's no limits to what they could do. This is crazy.
Well, I don't. Hey, I'm not sure. As I said, he said that they were, they had been
Petering
dying
out.
down,
Yeah.
petering out, right? But the other thing, I guess it was last night on Fox News, the guy who's the acting secretary of Homeland Security said that what they were doing, and this is illegal, they were making proactive arrests in the sense that they were arresting people because they thought that they were going to commit a crime, and that's clearly illegal. You can't do that.
If
I
that's
mean,
the
that,
way, if that's the way it came down. However, if they were approaching the federal courthouse, then I think that's probable cause to do something. Because it's already been boarded up. They've already tried to assault it numerous times. These are federal buildings in addition to the city infrastructure. And again, this is a response because these big city mayors have just been standing down. Seattle, a summer of love, and all that kind of stuff. So Trump is using this, politically. I agree, but again, what's the alternative? You can't let this just fester and increase, and especially no consequences. In the city of New York, the guy who conked the police chief on the head with that big bat, he was found, arrested, and released because of the no bail situation. I mean, the gangs are taking over these streets now because they know they can get away. Look at Chicago last night. 14 people shot in front of a funeral house, gang related, because the gangs know now there's no consequences. The cops aren't going to do anything, so they're going crazy. This is going on through all these cities.
I mean,
Something has to be done.
so you agree with what Trump is doing then with the.
I agree that something, as I said, Kent, I agree that some response has to be made, a firm response. I don't agree to have stormtrooper like figures in the street with no identification and all that, and I don't agree these tactics, if accurately described. But I do agree that Trump has to bring in some of these federalized troops to restore order because the big city mayors are laying down on it, along with prosecutors and everything else. I mean, Look, in the 60s, and I was part of that with the protests, students would take over the offices, administration offices. They'd have sit-ins in the president of the university's office, but they were peacefully removed, or they left themselves. They didn't turn to rioting, looting, burning, and destruction of property. It's a whole different escalation now, and you can't just let it go because it's getting worse and worse. They know there's no consequences. There has to be regulations. There has to be some law and order, not to sound like, a Trumpite with, waving the law and order flag. But I'm saying that this is against common sense to let this go like this.
But I mean, don't you think that the state should deal with it? I mean,
they won't do it. They won't do it. That's the problem. All these do-nothing officials in these states and county governments, they should be sued for dereliction of duty, for destruction of property. In fact, in Seattle, where they had the Summer of Love, a bunch of merchants are suing the city, and I think the mayor individually for not providing protection for which they pay taxes.
Right.
This is just gone way out of whack, Ken. Peaceful protests fine, but they're being infiltrated by militants who are using that and agitating the situation and letting it escalate out of control. Peaceful protesters, no problem with that. The cops were there to protect them.
All right, sir. Talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, Kent.
Bye.